Hello,
right.
ladies, and go ahead.
That's okay, Mac. Hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode of The Blind View here on Becca's World. And here is your host, Miss Rebecca Meadows.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for joining me here today on Rumble for another episode of The Blind View. I am your host, Rebecca S. Meadows, and my awesome co-hosts, Brandon and Anya, are joining me. Oh, hold on,
What
I
is
gotta.
up, everybody? Good evening. It is almost 2025, but not quite yet. So I also want to say it's very, very good to be here, and thank you for, like Becca said, joining us. Taking a break with us, taking 5 or maybe a little more than 5 for a while.
Yeah, hi guys. I'm also glad to be here. Let's spend our last few hours of 2024 and reflect on what has happened and what we can look forward to. It's been a great year, so let's talk about things that we decided to talk about.
Yes.
Yeah, well, so as we discussed, I mean, I personally think that it's been quite a year, 2024. Um, just to kind of remind you, oh gosh, remember the Olympics. the debacle that was the Olympics, right? I mean, I think the Olympics in 2024 were some of the least watched Olympics. Again, I have to emphasize that word, ever, and I think the reason was because it was so anti-Christian, which a lot of America resonates very well with Judeo-Christianity, and there were obviously overt signs of anti-Christian sentiment, anti-Christian iconography. And then of course it's been this way for a while now, but there was a lot of woke crap and DEI crap. Although I will say the U.S. did fairly well in the Olympics. I don't have the stats in front of me right now, but I do seem to remember that we took home quite a few golds, quite a few silvers. But there was that, event, the 2024 Olympics. And then later in the year, do you remember kind of eerie echoes and odd, peculiar similarities? The Iranian president lost his life in an aircraft crash. And, it was just kind of unique because some people were like, yeah, and other people were like, no, and then here in the U.S., after that, quite a while after the death, however you feel about it, the death of the then Iranian president in that aircraft accident, we of course had the assassination of the former United Healthcare CEO, and in that event as well, some people were like, "Yeah," and other people were like, "No."
That's how it always is. It seems to be always like two, hardly anybody in the middle. But I wanted to go back to the Olympics for just a brief second.
Oh yeah,
I didn't even think about
the Olympics.
that would be the last thing I would be thinking about, because I would be the last person to watch any kinds of sports. I even up to this day I still confuse basketball team and football team in my state, because I so don't care. But this Olympics was so gross in so many ways that it attracted a lot of negative attention. So that's the only reason I even heard about it and kind of delved into it for a little bit. So yeah.
Yeah,
but you don't watch really even like well highly publicized and televised sporting events, even the Olympic, or like what about the Super Bowl?
Absolutely not.
No.
No. I cannot care less about Super Bowl.
Well, because remember, for the pop fans out there, in the Super Bowl, which the Kansas City Chiefs won this year, we saw
go Chiefs.
Yeah, exactly. And we saw Travis Kelsey and Taylor Swift have an embrace, and that's kind of been a thing. Even though I tend to think most of her music is pretty like anti-man,
Yeah.
it's kind of funny that they've been, doing fairly well this year. I would think. Uh, and then of course, there was the whole, Israeli conflict
Oh,
continuing on.
Yeah.
And recently it's gotten really really dicey because Israel was fighting in Lebanon, and not really against the Lebanese people though. They're just I feel like fighting to eradicate radical, fundamentally radical groups like Hamas. And they have to go into these countries, speaking of Iran, because of all of these Iranian backed proxies. So that's a dicey situation. So I don't know. I just think it's been quite a year here in 2024. Oh, and
Yeah.
then we cannot forget about, right. We really should not forget about in November the presidential election, right? I mean, he's the
That
president
was the
elect
biggest
only
highlight of the year,
you
I think.
you guys, and remember on July, wasn't it July 13th, when we saw that miracle when God spared President Trump's life when they tried to assassinate him the first time? Do you guys
Yeah.
yeah,
remember
yeah, the
that?
first time. Yeah, it's
Yeah,
crazy that
the first time. Yeah, it's really crazy that we got to say that the first time. But yeah, but that first time when they tried to assassinate President Trump and God spared his life, it was caught on film. How amazing is that? The
yes, film and audio too.
yeah,
And the audio analysis, I remember, kind of helped play a part in piecing everything together.
yeah,
Yeah. It was not. It was one of the two. So yeah, it was
yeah.
pretty um pretty
I
crazy. Oh, go ahead, Becca. Sorry.
I have to tell you guys, I've been a believer in Jesus Christ and Almighty God my whole life. And I've seen a lot of miracles in my own life. But when we saw that miracle in July on TV, I have to tell you that was a miracle from Almighty God shown on international TV. Do you guys realize that? That
Yeah,
was
absolutely.
it totally blew my mind. Like I really feel like God brought President Trump to America and to the White House for a time such as this. You know.
Yeah, and speaking of President Trump, everybody knows about witch hunt has been going on to prevent him from running. And this year there was so much exposure of the shenanigans, and
Um,
this case in Georgia, Fannie Willis case. And it was so hilarious to watch how they were going down in flames. All the corruption was being exposed, how she was taking her boyfriend all those vacations, and at the taxpayers expense, and then putting him on Trump's case. It was just crazy. And then now she's officially disqualified to do anything with this case. So it was
yeah,
a win on our side. And we had a lot of wins in DI
yeah,
area. A lot of
um,
departments of DI are um, rolling back their funding. A lot of universities are sort of looking back to become normal. I mean, it's a it will be a big step. I don't hold my breath because there's a lot of craziness still there out there, but we did see some good signs during this year.
yeah. I wanted to talk some more about this miracle in July, though. It's scriptural. It says in the Bible that no weapon formed against us will prosper, right? And that throughout the Bible, over and over and over again, in many ways, many different ways, we're told that God has our back, right? That God has appointed us and created us for purposes, right? And that He will equip us for those purposes. And there's so many great things in the Bible, and I just keep like all those things have been running through my head over and over again since we saw that miracle in July. And I'm telling you guys, I think we're going to see so many other awesome miracles in the coming few years. Um, I'm very excited about it. And like I said, it's all so scriptural. It's so scriptural. All the stuff that's been going on, all the miracles that we've been seeing.
Well, now, Becca, can I ask you, not not that this show has anything like too specifically thematic, but I mean, so not to go, too much into this area, but just generally, there are many people, some of them, actual theologians or pastors, now saying that we are in the end of days. Do you feel that way or no?
I felt for some time that we're in the end of days, but the end of days is, I think, a lot longer than human beings realize, because you have to understand from God's perspective, like it says in the Bible, from God's perspective, a day is 1,000 years and 1,000 years is a day. So like when we look at our human calendar and we look at like the last 2,000 years, you have to understand that's 2 days on God's calendar, right? And I really feel like God is doing a whole lot of really amazing things that he's actually been working on for many moons. You know what I mean? Um, and it's I'm just really excited about 2025, you guys. I've always been an optimist, and it's really gotten me through a lot. So combining my optimistic outlook with my sincere faith in God and my knowledge of the scriptures and my everything I've studied about my country throughout my life, right? Like I'm just telling you guys, I think America and the world are in for some really great things in 2025.
Well, right, I'm not worried, whether we are or whether we're not. I feel like I'm confident in my faith. I'll put it to you like that. I am a man of faith, and I do know where I'm going. Whether or not I see the end of my life or not, either way, it doesn't really bother me. I certainly do not live my life in fear. But yeah, it has been a heck of a year in 2024, and the president-elect himself has said, that God saved his life. So you're you're in good company with your perspective there, Becca. So I wonder though, since we are looking here at a new year, we're on the cusp of the new year. Do any of you have any plans, as far as celebrations, or not really?
Well, as for celebrations, this year we're gonna be doing something absolutely different, which we've never done before, in our lives, together or separate. So,
Wow.
we were invited to our church celebration party. So, I mean, for me, it's something strange, and you guys will understand a little bit later, because New Year's for me was the biggest holiday in the year for many, many years, and then it has a special way of being celebrated. And now we are going to church, so they're gonna have some dinner and then some service and some celebrations of whatever that implies. So we're going to find out. So
I just laughed. You said that, Anya, the biggest celebration, and then somebody shot off a firework over here.
oh wow.
Probably you guys heard that. You didn't hear that? I figured you guys probably heard.
No.
They've been shooting off fireworks over here sporadically too. It always freaks our dogs out.
No, we haven't had any fireworks yet. The last fireworks that I heard in the recent past was when Trump won. That's what I heard.
Oh yeah, there were a lot of fireworks back then in November.
Yeah, but I'm sure we'll hear a lot more tomorrow, especially. Do you guys celebrate like with every time zone, or with your own only, or how do you do that?
I usually celebrate with my own time zone only. I used to try to do the multiple time zones, but
no, and I'm the same way. I only do for Arizona, where I currently reside. But that is sometimes because I begin celebrating around 7 or 8 p.m. So I don't really need to do multiple celebrations. It's just one big, grand, great, glorious celebration the year that's outgoing and the year that is incoming.
Yeah, well, we usually have TV on pretty much all day long, starting in the afternoon, and you can see like every hour it shows on TV which country celebrated, like which country has started a new year, and it goes on and on and on until it reaches your time zone. We usually do
Uh-huh.
big one with New York, with because they have this countdown and all that, like biggest one. But
Oh,
it's kind of irritating because for the rest of the time zones, it's like, okay, well, here's New Year, but East Coast gets, but East Coast gets the biggest one.
can I tell you guys a secret?
Yes.
Ooh, secrets on
So-
this episode. Okay.
So on most New Year's Eves, when I ring in the New Year, as soon as they call midnight on the East Coast, which is usually, I don't know, about 9 o'clock where I happen to be, I like count down there and then I go to bed. I don't stay and ring in the New Year at midnight local time, right?
No.
Oh no, dude! I go to bed as soon as it is midnight on the East Coast, and I have that chance to do the whole yay and celebration thing and all of that.
Well,
'Cause-
New Year's somewhere, right?
Yeah.
Well,
That's usually what I wind up doing.
So let me ask you, Becca. Talking about secrets. Oh, let me ask. I don't know. I don't know if you want to say, but I will say I am audacious and bold, and I will say. But before I say, I got to ask you: are you a part of? Are you ready for it? Are you a part of the 5 a.m. club?
No, what is the 5 a.m. club?
Oh, I am a part of the 5 a.m. club, and there's a book about it. I think it's just called The 5 a.m. Club. One thing that I did this year in 2024 is I subscribed to a service called Blinkist Premium. I've been using the service Blinkist for a long time, but I like Premium because I can read and read and read and read, and I don't have to wait until every new day. So I read the blinks to the book, The 5 a.m. Club. And basically, it's a really, really interesting story about structuring your life for...
Wow, that's what we heard.
Yeah, that would... Yeah, maybe they're celebrating that I'm a 5 a.m.er. I mean, that's okay. I love you too, guys. I love you too. But it's a way of structuring your life, for success and things like that. So.
And what's the book called again?
The 5 a.m. Club.
The 5 a.m. Club. I'll have to see if that's on Audible. That sounds interesting.
Yep, and it all starts by waking up at 5 a.m. But you can do many, many things after that. But
oh, dude, I used to get up at 4 a.m. because I just liked starting it early. I just need to get back to that. So I could easily do 5 a.m.
Oh, okay. What?
I've been seeing on Facebook, like, not this year so much, at least not yet, but previous years, I see people bragging about how many books they've read throughout a year. And some, like, in hundreds. It's like, whoa. I mean, I don't read that much. I guess I don't even count. This year, I promised myself to count. But then I lose count, Sometimes I read a book, mess up, and then I come back to it and start another one. I have like tons of them downloaded, and some of them are in my language, some of them in English, some of them in Spanish. I try to read, so I can't really tell how many I actually completed. But...
So Anya, which language do you prefer to read in then, English or your native tongue?
Both, actually, both depends on the book, but I understand them equally well. So
oh, that's cool.
Spanish is a bit of a struggle because I'm still in a kind of intermediate level. So and when you read a good book, it's usually something more advanced. So something to strive for. Something is in my wish list for next year to improve my Spanish even further.
Now let me ask you, Anya, not to make you angry with me or anything, or to talk shop after you.
Oh no, you won't.
Left the shop, so to speak. But don't you work in the field of linguistics?
Yes, I do. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So let me ask you something, just to see just generally your thoughts. My son, I'm like the odd man out, right? So my son and my daughter, who's only 8, my son's 15, and my wife, they've all been considering the Duolingo app But I have heard really good things about the Pimsleur method, which is also they have an app now too. But they both purport to teach you, to speak a different language. Do you have any opinion on Duolingo versus Pimsleur?
Well,
Like
I can.
Babel.
Funny that you asked because a few months ago, my husband and I went to a lecture at the state university here. Because sometimes they open up lectures for the public too, and there was a researcher who came to speak to the students about the linguistic apps, like and how effective they are. And
Okay.
yeah, so it was very interesting to listen. But to jump ahead, I'll tell you that. The conclusion of those studies was that none of those apps is better than the other. So they are not as promising.
Mm.
They're not as effective as they purport to be. So he listed a bunch of reasons why. So I can tell you a bit more after we come back from the break.
All right.
Hi, it's me, Rebecca S. Meadows, the author, with my new book, Living on Borrowed Time, The Ravings of an Angry Survivor of Traumatic Brain Injury and Guardianship Abuse. It's available on Kindle Digital Download, Amazon Print on Demand, and on Audible. Please go check it out. And now, back to the show.
All right, we are back, and this is a very interesting conversation about the Duolingo versus, what's it called? Pimsleur?
Pimsleur, yeah.
Pimsleur.
And there's also Babel. Have you guys heard of Babel?
Uh-huh,
Yeah.
I have.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so like I was saying before the commercial, that according to that research that they did, they said they're all pretty much equal. Because the people who are doing those apps, who are trying to use those apps, one of the things that they found was they were inconsistent. So you kind of get motivated, you start, and then you forget, you don't come back to it. That's something they've noticed. And if you look at the end result of, like when you see an ad or hear the ad on the radio or something, okay, 30 days, you'll speak the language, blah, blah, blah. BS. That never happens. It's just a false promise.
Wow.
Yeah, so I personally believe that the best way to learn language, actually use it actively, not on an app. Yes, app may be useful for certain things to get started, maybe. But if you want to see real results, if you want to take your language skills on the next level, you might want to look for a native speaker. You might want to do reading of an article or book or something, listen to a podcast, but have somebody check you, or to hire a tutor. I know it's going to go into too far maybe for some, but finding a good tutor who can work with you, correct your mistakes, give you feedback. Because with apps, you get only automatic feedback. The machine gives you feedback, not a human.
Well, and if a person wants to be really extreme, like if they wanted to learn Portuguese, they could move to Portugal, and just immerse themselves in the language, whatever language they wanted to learn. They could just move to that country.
Well, moving may not be that easy. It's not like you pick up your stuff and go.
I know. I'm just saying if someone wanted to be really extreme about it, though.
There are many programs, like if you can look,
Yeah.
somebody who wants to go to learn a specific language, you can look into options. There are programs that can place you in a host family, like I did with English, as a matter of fact. You're placed in a host family, and then you're completely immersed into the language, and maybe you go to school, depends on the program. And I participated in a year-long program, but there are like few weeks programs, few months programs, depends. So I think that's the best way. Apps, the bottom line is apps can be helpful, but they do not substitute real learning.
I got you. I just thought it was fascinating, that you said you do read books in a multiplicity of languages. Learning languages is not something that comes easily or naturally to me. So I have heard the benefits of immersion touted widely, but again, I don't really have any need or really, frankly, any desire. No hostility intended at all, but to move to another country. I mean, that's a big deal, So it's like, well, what's the next best option short of immersion?
Yeah.
Thank you for your
getting thrown into a pool.
Is that how you felt, Anya? Like you got thrown into it, when you came to America?
In a way, I did. In a way, I did. I was kind of scared because my English was pretty low,
Uh,
and back in that day, whoa, that was loud. Back in the day, there was no apps like today. There were some dictionaries online, but it was early 2000s, guys. Like
uh,
computers were not where they are today. No smartphones yet, so it was a lot harder. I'm sure that if this all occurred today and I came today, then I would have learned a lot faster.
Now, how would you have felt if my family would have been the exchange family that you lodged with for a time? If I would have used, something like the Google Assistant, because it can't speak every language that it can actually translate. In other words, I actually do know, I am adroit enough to know that there is a difference between interpretation versus translation. It's able
Uh
to
huh.
translate more languages than it can interpret, but I think it can interpret like English to Ukrainian and Ukrainian back to English. I think it can do that. So what? How would you feel if? I mean, again, I know that that's a little bit clunky. I acknowledge that, but I think that, like, if I were to move to, say, Portugal, and somebody used an app, I'd be like, oh, okay, that helps me assimilate a little quicker.
Yeah, I think those apps, like I said before, and Google Assistant or Alexa or whatever else there is, in today's world, it would help you with your communication a lot better, a lot better. I just had to sit there and struggling, uh, figure out the words, like what to use, how to express my thoughts. And like right now you can pick up your phone. I can literally pick up the phone, say hey Siri, and say how do you say blah 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 in Spanish or in Italian or something, and it
Hmm.
tells you and it shows you on a screen. And it made travel a lot easier for many people, made tourism a lot better. So it's a step in the right direction. So we are definitely not where we were in early 2000s.
yeah, that's definitely awesome technology.
Well, can you talk about? I think you wanted to talk about some other historical things, right, Anya? Uh, like, I think it was regarding celebrations or something, right?
Oh yeah, so yeah, if you guys would like to ask me questions as I go along, like I mean, I can tell you because my husband and I have been watching a few documentaries lately about the celebration of New Year. Uh, a lot of it I resonate with because that's where I grew up.
Uh,
So, and like I mentioned, New Year for us, like post-Soviet countries, is the biggest holiday, like in the whole the whole year. And people would start preparing for it like all the way in September or something.
oh
And
wow.
but by preparing, what I mean is because of the constant shortages for food in the socialist communist countries,
Uh,
you had to start hunting your food down beforehand,
yeah.
because in December you're not going to find anything good. So people would start and start gathering stuff for their table, whatever would keep for a few months. And you always had to know somebody who is grocery store director or owner. I would say director because the owner was always the government back then.
Uh,
Um, but yeah, so and it was super festive celebration, which for me was very strange coming here, and then I see like okay, Christmas is over, everything is over, like everything goes back to normal immediately. No more Christmas music, people put away their Christmas trees. Like come on, it's just the next day. Like for us it was all around Christmas tree, and we would start, yeah, late November, early December, and it would go on through January, from mid-January, I'd say.
yeah.
So yeah, you had a question, Becca? Go ahead.
I was just gonna say it was a lot the same way where I grew up. I grew up in a rural farming community in north central Montana, and like it wasn't just Christmas. It was or the Christmas season. It was the holiday season. It started with Thanksgiving and went through Christmas and New Year's, and my birthday's also in there. My birthday's November 30th. So when I was growing up, my family celebrated, my dad's birthday's in there too. So we'd celebrate Thanksgiving, my dad's birthday, my birthday, Christmas, New Year's, my baby sister's birthday, because my baby sister is actually a New Year's baby too.
Oh, sweet.
So we had a lot of family holidays, and so Christmas was more like a season thing because it was like 2.5 months of celebrating pretty much with all of the stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, I see a lot of similarities too, but also like especially now after the fall of the Soviet Union, when things started catching up with the West, I'd say in some ways. So yeah, it started being similar, but we still hold on to a lot of our traditions. Like one of the traditions, I'll tell you guys, which you guys never had, to my it started, I think, in the 70s by Brezhnev, but it goes on up to this day, and I'm sure I'm going to hear it tomorrow. So every year at 10 till midnight, the president of Russia, back then in the Soviet Union, now Russia and Ukraine and whatever, they address the nation. So everybody has their TV on.
Oh, wow.
Everybody sits at the table. Yeah, so you have your champagne ready to go. You have your food. Everybody's sitting around a big long table. Well, some people just celebrate with like youth, some with families. That doesn't matter. The point is that you can hear President speak for 10 minutes on TV. He kind of fills you in, kind of a year in review, if you will. So he tells you what has happened this year, what aspirations are for the next year, covers a bunch of different things, and congratulates everybody and wishes everyone Happy New Year.
No,
and then after that, the Anthem of Russia or Ukraine or wherever you are. So they play national anthem right after.
Is that Vladimir Zelensky then that does that address at 10 minutes before midnight?
Yes, he does. He does.
Well,
although they are trying to.
What I was going to ask you is, I just read today a headline that said, basically, Russia is open to peace talks, but Ukraine still has 2022 things in place that prevent that. What do you think about that?
You cut out for the beginning of it. I didn't quite catch the start. What about 2022?
Oh yeah, so the headline was, Russia is open to peace talks, but Ukraine still has things in effect from 2022 that kind of preclude that from happening. What do you think about that?
Well, I'm not sure. I don't really. It's kind of embarrassing, maybe in a way, but I have not followed Russia-Ukraine politics for the last couple of weeks or so. I'm totally immersed into our national politics, and I kind of keep an eye on it. But I'm just so ready for President Trump to take over and clean up this mess as much as he can. So I'm just not focusing on just their dialogues, what they're having. I'm just looking forward to actions.
It'll just be interesting, though, right? Like, I wonder what Vladimir Putin versus Zelensky. I wonder how the two speeches will be. Will they be diametrically opposed, or will there be similarities? I don't know.
I'll report next time, because I'm planning to listen to both tomorrow.
Okay.
And see what each of them says, because one comes after the other. Russia celebrates New Year when it is 3:00 Central here, and then right after midnight strikes in Ukraine. So it comes after Russia. So I get to hear both.
Is Ukraine an hour later than Russia, or how much?
Yes,
later?
They are behind.
An hour.
1 hour behind. Yeah.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I thought it was pretty interesting. I wish we had something like that when president speaks to the whole nation. But this is not a tradition here. People celebrate New Year differently. So
yeah.
But you also actually remember, though, some of the ways, like, leading up to the New Year's celebration, which for you was the most momentous celebration of the year. Kind of like, I would argue, our Independence Day is here. That's a really momentous celebration here.
Yeah.
But you actually kind of remember how, and like here, I think we are very blessed and very fortunate. We can just go to the grocery store pretty much any time, at least for the time being. Although I've heard certain rumblings, but you remember like having to get food was more of a challenge and things like that.
Yeah, well, I'm the 90s baby, so things were way different. We were even poorer than some people in the Soviet Union because everything was a
Yeah.
big mess. But I definitely do know, like, my parents talk about it, and a lot of traditions have kept. And one of the things, too, though, in post Soviet countries, we do gift exchange on New Year's, not on Christmas, because our Christmas it gets celebrated
Ah,
later. Yep.
Okay.
I
Yeah,
got
so
you.
when you're a little baby, going to bed, just like a Santa story, but you expect your our version of Santa to show up on January 1st, and you run up to the tree, and then you find your gift.
So, Anya, I know that in some countries they call him Saint Nick or Saint Nicholas and Santa Claus and just different variations. What pronunciation and what version of the name Santa Claus did you guys use in Ukraine growing up?
We used Ded Moroz, which is literally translation of Grandpa Frost, like
Grandpa
Frost,
Frost.
Frosty. Yes.
Oh, I like that.
Ah,
Yeah, and
yeah.
Grandpa Frost does not travel by himself. He has a granddaughter with him, Snegurочка. It's a
Oh,
beautiful white, like kind of a Snow White, but not quite. She is the granddaughter of Dead Moroz, yeah, and she's always with him, accompanying him. So,
Wow.
that's cool.
yeah, like I said, a
Th-
lot of stuff does overlap, but not everything with here.
Yeah.
No, 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 no. And it is interesting, because like President-elect Trump, his wife is not a native-born American either, So, but I think there's a certain beauty in that, people that do emigrate with an E or immigrate with an I to America, legally and lawfully. I think there is a certain. I think our actual diversity, meaning it truly, unlike the way the DEI, I think a lot of those terms were misappropriated by the DEI movement. It doesn't actually mean what the words say, but in the actual spirit of true, diversity, in the spirit of creating a genuine motley crew, right? I think that's one of the things that makes America great and strong.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you said about Trump's wife, that's what cracks me up when they say Trump hates immigrants. He hates immigrants. Well, hello, he's married to one.
Oh, and his wife, isn't his wife so awesome? She's so smart. She's so smart
Yeah.
and graceful and just elegant, Mrs. Trump is.
Yeah,
What do you guys
Yeah,
think?
she certainly is.
I do. I do think so. So
Yeah.
I know I also am looking forward to the new year. In fact, just one of the veritable cornucopia of things that I'm looking forward to. I've heard that the rental tax is going to go away in January here in Arizona, the great state of Arizona. I'm
Oh,
I'm happy about that, and I think Becca, you I think talking about being optimistic are optimistic about 2025. Yeah.
oh yeah, yeah. Well, I've been an optimist my whole life, but there have been times when it's been very difficult to feel optimistic. But right now is a time when optimism is flowing high. You know what I mean? I think it is all over America and all over the world too. I think people are really excited about 2025.
Yeah,
So,
but do you guys make like I call it wish map. That's something that you create before. This is not our tradition from my country. This is something I came to do later in life. When you sit down and you write down your goals, it's kind of a resolution, similar to New Year's
right.
resolution, but
Um,
um, it's a big wish list, and you put it in columns. Like the way I do it, I put it in columns, like things I want to have, things I want to continue doing, things I want to learn, and on, like however many categories you can come up with, and you
uh,
write it in columns. So I have a spreadsheet, and that's what I do for the last few years. And then the 31st of the year, you just open up and see what things came true, what things you need to keep working on, and you just put a star next to the one that you finished. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, I've been doing that on an informal basis most of my life, goal setting and working towards those goals, and then periodically reflecting back to see where I am, how much progress I've made on those goals. And I think that's just how we continue growing and becoming stronger and healthier and smarter people. Isn't it great?
Yeah.
Oh, I absolutely agree. As a member of the 5 a.m. club, I absolutely agree with both of you. I think that, like each of you have said, right, setting goals, and then, but also to the point of writing them down or recording them in some way, that absolutely does contribute to becoming a more successful person. It's weird, but it does.
Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, please stay with us while we take this quick commercial break. We'll be right back.
Why don't they have blind people sections at sporting events? Why do I gotta pay the same price to not see shit? Okay? The Jumbotron ain't even built for me.
I am the business manager here at the Visually Impaired School of Arizona.
I see you brought the film crew. Make sure you get my good side.
All right, settle down and get focused on your tasks.
I teach the art of cuisine, child.
You wanna know what the problem, the biggest problem in the blind community? It's you sighted people.
Just take a look over here.
Yeah, I don't know where that is, man.
Okay, you all need to turn off those cameras and just leave the building.
Wait, Joe, hold on.
Oh, on your right.
You're on the right.
How would you know that the men you're dating are black?
No, this is not card member services. This is the Visually Impaired School of Arizona.
CJ, where are his pants?
I don't know.
Billy doesn't work here. He basically came with the building.
I can be the very first mayor of Blind Sylvania.
Make blind America great again.
There goes my pie.
This happens every day?
No, of
Sometimes.
course not.
All right, we are back. And just to throw it out there for everybody, our TV pilot, Don't Look Now, is screening January 25th, Saturday, here at the Chandler International Film Festival. Becca and I will be in attendance, so please get in touch with us if you would like more information. Don'tLookNowTVOfficial.com.
Yeah, or you can email me directly at beccameadows76@gmail.com. Yeah, I'm really excited for the film festival next month.
Yeah, and it's happening pretty much right after the inauguration, you guys.
Yeah. We need to. Gino and I are on the potential guest list for the inauguration, and we'll find out in early January if we made the cut. So we might be going.
Yeah, we talked about it last time. I hope you guys make a cut.
Yeah, I hope we do too. Pretty excited.
Becca, I wanted to kind of ask you. You gave us a sort of what would you call it? A preview a while back. So I just wonder, from a physical perspective, is your vision not that you don't have a vision, a mental vision and an idea, but I mean your physical vision, is that continuing to improve or kind of just holding steady, or that's pretty exciting, right? That happened in 2024 for you, yeah?
Oh yeah. So I'd say on a day-to-day basis, yes, I'm still getting little pieces of vision back, and it's just like parts of my field that have been black for years will fill in. You know what I mean? It's like a jigsaw puzzle or something. You know what I mean? Does that make sense?
Yeah, but you are still noticing positive changes.
Yes, and I have my next treatment scheduled on January 17th, I believe it is. And I'm definitely still every day noticing differences. But another thing that I'm noticing, it's just not so obvious, is I'm noticing improvements in my cognitive skills. You know what I mean? Because that's another part of the brain injury was all the cognitive deficits I suffered. And so they're bound to get better with the healing of the brain too. And I really feel like they've been getting better. But I've also been but I have to tell you guys, something that people can do for themselves that's a lot cheaper. I've also been taking Prevagen for a few months now. Prevagen, I'm finding, is a really great over-the-counter medication that's helped me a lot. Also, so
I just was chuckling because it's funny. It's like that's not even really what the primary intention was, right? But that is a phenomenal side benefit, though. I am glad.
That the cognitive skills are getting better.
Well,
you know what? All these decades while I've been looking for stem cell therapy, I was always like, I have to find stem cell therapy to help me fix my vision, right? But it was only after I finally found this doctor and started working with him the last few months that it really occurred to me that this therapy should improve my cognitive skills as well. And it really has been. I've been really excited.
And can you share with us in which way did you notice the improvement?
Like I've had certain very obvious attention deficit features for decades, right? Like when I meet people, I always forget their name, always. And you know what I mean? And there's just things like I always know I'm going to forget, but I haven't been just forgetting them lately. Sometimes I'm remembering them. You know what I mean? Where before I had to make an effort to remember them. Do you know what I mean? It's like my brain's working more on its own and I'm not having to use so many of the coping techniques and you know what I mean that I've found over the years and that I've learned.
That's phenomenal.
Yeah, like it just feels like my brain's working more normal, you know. So I'm really excited.
I think you're in really good company because, you know, plenty of us, you know, in different ways, you know, struggle with burnout and just, you know, time management issues and stuff. And all of that affects mental capacity too. So,
yeah.
You know, I've seen lots of ads on YouTube for different supplements and stuff. And I've also heard a lot about, you know, getting in a flow state, getting in the zone, you know, how beneficial that can be.
Meditating. Is that what you mean? Like meditating or yoga?
Yeah, kinda. I mean, I don't know. I didn't actually sign up for that program. It was for people who were further along the financial path than I am right now. So it was targeted at like CFOs and CEOs and CTOs. You know, I don't operate at that level right now. So.
Hey guys, when you said CFOs, that reminded me of UFOs. Have you guys heard anything new on the whatchamacallits?
The UAPs or UAVs or whatever.
Yeah, and the drones and stuff. Have you guys heard anything new about that?
No,
it seems
really.
to have quieted down. Yeah, it has kind of quieted down lately. I don't read all the news there are every day because that's all you would do all day, just to read news. But nothing outstanding, nothing that kind of stood out. No.
Well, except that I did hear that Long Island, you know, shout out to the Long Islanders. I did hear recently that the Long Island Police Department now does have limited authority to shoot those suckers down. And I think that's good. Get out of our sky. If you're not going to say where you're from or who you are or where you're going or what your purpose is, get the heck out of our skies or we'll shoot you out. Go Long Islanders. That's awesome.
Dude, if I caught one of those things over my house, I've already been thinking of different ways I could try to entrap the drone or catch it so it couldn't get away, so I could pull it into my house or my yard, right, and then dissect it and see who's really. I mean, obviously I couldn't dissect it, but I could give it to the authorities and be like, here, now see who's running this damn thing. I don't know why our authorities haven't pulled one of them out of the sky yet and done that.
Exactly. Well, and it's like, look, I mean, I don't. Yeah, it just doesn't make sense. It just doesn't make sense. I mean, because if it's something classified, I'm sure there are, you know, areas where they could test it, you know, that are off limits to the public. So I don't. It's like, you know, what is the deal? Why are you just showing up? You know, we don't know who you are, where you're from, where you're going, what you're doing, why you're here, when you actually got. There's just too many unknowns, and it makes me very uncomfortable.
Yeah. And so the way I grew up redneck and I don't know, I guess you call it podunk, but the people I grew up around, it's not like people never sat around on their thumbs thinking, how are we going to get shit accomplished? When shit was going on around us, like people just went and took care of business. And it just blows my mind that so many people are just sitting around waiting for the government to hand over information to them about all these drones and shit or something like that, instead of just going and taking care of it on their own, or you know what I mean? Like, it baffles me. It totally baffles me. So many people are like sheep, like they can't think for themselves or like make themselves like act upon things. You know what I mean? It's like they have to wait for the government to give them permission all the time. It really irritates me.
Me too.
Or a lot of people simply don't even care. I mean, if you stop a person on the street and say like, "Hey, have you heard? Like, what do you think?" and I won't be surprised if many of them have not even heard.
Well, yeah, honestly, there's so much in the last few years, maybe the last 20 years, honestly, since September 11th, 2001, there's been so much unbelievable, crazy shit on the news every day, and it's gotten really bad the last few years, right? I wonder if people are just overwhelmed with it all and they can't take anymore.
Well, but like something I'll point out, you guys, not to be doomy gloomy, not at all, but I've heard that Joe Biden is going to try to declare a pandemic emergency of the bird flu. So are we really going to let them mask us up and lock us down again?
No,
I didn't before, and I won't do it now.
I didn't before, and I won't either. And this time I'm going to try to get out there and let my voice be heard. I hated being trapped in my house, not letting my voice be heard about how I felt about the injustices we were suffering. It made me angry.
But Becca, you know, the birds you hear outside. Oh, you know, bird flu.
You know what? I'm not scared of bird flu or swine flu or COVID or even the regular flu, dude.
I'm not either. But just to prove that I know what I'm talking about, they call it H5N1. So when you hear that, a new variety of H5N1. I just saw a thing, you know, traces of bird flu in Arizona wastewater. Oh my Lord.
Well, you guys, they lost so much credibility. I don't know what needs to happen that people would regain trust in the establishments. I mean, what if something really crazy happened and they need some cooperation from us? We don't trust them anymore. You know, because they sensationalize everything. So, and then we're just like, yeah, whatever.
Well, maybe Bobby Kennedy and the Make America Healthy Again agenda can make things work again somewhat. So
hopefully. I mean, if there's ingredients that they won't use in Europe and they won't use in Canada and they won't use in Mexico, but they use them here, that's suspicious.
Yeah.
That is, you know.
We'll see some big changes pretty darn soon. So I think it will be happening fast. So
yeah.
I think so. And I'm very happy and interested in the cabinet picks that are being presented, and I think it'll be really
presented does not mean approved. That's what worries me a bit.
That's true.
But listen, you guys, I don't think there's going to be many problems getting Trump's picks approved. But you know what? Speaking of his picks and how they've been coming out like in the news, it seems like Christmas almost every day with these picks coming out, these awesome picks being announced. You know what I mean? Like, as an American who's suffered through all this shit the last few years, watching President Trump appoint such good, strong, smart people to the administration to help him make America great again, it really excites me.
It does me too. And I think you will see a lot more of that. You know, let's go do it. Let's go make it happen. Let's go build it. Let's go drill it. Let's go figure it out.
Let's go, Brandon.
Yes, ma'am. Yes,
The
ma'am,
best,
let's do
the
it.
best revenge is success.
Absolutely.
So as America succeeds and rebuilds, we'll be getting revenge on the Biden administration for what they did to all of us.
Well, and isn't it
Well,
nice
but you
to
guys
hear,
don't forget that the opposition is not sleeping either. I mean, they are going to put obstacles in every step Trump will be trying to take, and
Yeah.
hopefully our side wins and finds smarter ways to outdo them. But they are also preparing.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I heard that they're gonna now try to use the 14th Amendment. It's not gonna work. It's not gonna work. They swung the pendulum way too far towards radical left lunatic, areas in extremes. It's not gonna work. It's not gonna work.
Yeah.
Well, hopefully it doesn't. But like I said, we always have to be prepared. I mean, we can't just relax just because Trump won. We can't just say, "Oh, cool, so we are all good." No, no, no. There'll be
Yeah.
lots more fights to fight.
But remember, if you go out for revenge, you should dig two graves, right? That's exactly what's been going on the last several months. These fools have been trying to hurt President Trump, trying to get revenge on President Trump for whatever they think he's done, right? And it keeps backfiring on them. And I just feel like if Joe Biden tries something at this point, or the Democrats try something at this point to undermine our country at the last hour or the 11th hour, I just feel like it's going to backfire on them again, just like everything else has,
Well, and I agree with both of you, and you as well, Anya. But that's why I'm trying to let people know, let's not let them mask us up and lock us down again, because I'm already hearing rumblings about bird flu and the 14th Amendment. They're going to try to use the 14th Amendment, but there's way more of us than there are of them.
Yeah. And when people are taking away your constitutional rights, really all you're doing, they can't really take it away from you unless you willingly let them take your rights away, right? That's what I learned, I mean, I learned that in my own experience, and then we all should have learned that going through the quarantine,
Well, and at that time, at that time, admittedly, it people of my generation, I'm a millennial, and we had never been through a pandemic. We'd never been through that. But now we've learned about how they manipulated, they censored, they shadow banned. We've learned this time. Now we know you were not being honest with us. You were not being open with us. And we've heard even, Democrat people that were formerly of the Democratic Party say, I said one thing, I disagreed on one thing, and they kicked me out. I mean, so again, that's not balanced, that's not fair, that's not honest, that's not open discussion. So we know now. So
yeah.
Fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice. Ellipsis.
Yeah, well, with all those problems out there, we still should stay optimistic, and we can worry about things we can change and not to worry about things we cannot change. So for that, we have higher powers to decide, but for us, we can just focus and do what we can do for our communities, for ourselves, for our country, for everything like that. Just
that's true. And I think it does start with our local household, and then our neighborhood, and then our city, and then I agree.
And local politics too. Never underestimate how important local politics are. Just see who is running for your school state board, for your city councilor, for your county seat. Everybody, because those are lower level people, but they have a lot of power locally. They're the ones who are responsible for your taxes, for what happens in your community. So, because a lot of people wake up when presidential election comes up, like, no, you have to be focused throughout the time period and know what's happening.
Guys, I hope that Americans have learned one really important lesson the last few years, and that is how much our votes really do count. When I was growing up in Montana and in America, I remember hearing a lot of the adults around me talk about how, oh, our votes don't really count and one vote can't really make a difference. And I really feel like this most recent election here, when Americans got pissed off and everybody went to the polls and voted early, like they were asked to do by President Trump, like we moved things, we made shit happen, right? Americans really did it. And it was one vote at a time. And it was, Alexa, stop. That was one thing that frustrated me a lot my whole life when I was hearing that nonsense about how our votes don't really matter and don't really count. It really frustrated me because that's all we have in America is our vote, unless we're going to turn to arms. You know what I mean? And we're not.
Which I hope we don't have to do. I don't want this to become kinetic.
Ladies and gentlemen, stay with us. We'll be right back.
No, back to that's the end of the show. We're at an hour.
Okay, good. Okay, great. Well, so ladies and gentlemen, you can email us at beccameadows76@gmail.com if you want to comment on the show or if you have any suggestions. Please be sure you are subscribed, and peace out. Are we still live then, Gino?
Thank you for watching Becca's World. Please like, share, and subscribe to my channel.